Hello and welcome folks, Wizuko here. I think I've mentioned a couple of times now that I love the Animal Crossing franchise. I've been a fan for ages and probably will be for many years to come. And I'm definitely not making an excuse to make an Animal Crossing video because the Animal Crossing Direct got me super hyped. No. There is, this thing about Animal Crossing that is, well, you know what's actually kind of surprising for longtime fans? Isabelle. You see, Isabelle is the mascot of Animal Crossing. She is the face of Animal Crossing nowadays and became the best known Animal Crossing character, leading people to even go as far as to say she is responsible for the immense success Animal Crossing games are facing these days, making her necessary for all future Animal Crossing games to come. On the other hand, though, Isabelle is still relatively young in the franchise. She climbed the ladder to success very fast, and I would argue a lot of people did not see that coming. As a lot of characters come and go in the Animal Crossing games, change their profession or role in the games, Isabelle achieved the fan favorite status in basically just one game. But how did that happen? Why was she even necessary to begin with? And what makes her so irresistible? Let's dig deeper into the history of Isabelle and find out. Who is Isabelle? Like we always do in videos like this, we'd start with simple questions. So, who is Isabelle? Well, as I already established, she is a reoccurring character in the Animal Crossing games. She is a golden Shinsu and acts as your assistant. It was 2012 when we first met her in the Nintendo 3DS Animal Crossing New Leaf, which is also known as Animal Crossing New Leaf Welcome Amiibo after the free update of the same name dropped in 2016. 4 years after the initial release of the game. It is important to note that Animal Crossing New Leaf was the best-selling Animal Crossing game during that time. The official Wikipedia page states that the game debuted in Japan with sales of just over 18,000 units sold, with 200,000 of them being digital downloads. Animal Crossing New Leaf became the first 3DS game in Japan to pass 2 million units sold, doing so in just under 2 months. By March 2013, 3.86 million copies had been sold. By August 2014, 1.36 million copies had been sold in the United States. By March 2021, all versions combined had worldwide sales of 12.93 million copies, making it one of the best-selling 3DS games. Compared to the Animal Crossing games that came before, this was a huge jump. So keep in mind that this was the environment Isabelle established herself in. And while I think it wouldn't be fair to trace the game's successful sales only back to Isabelle, I would still argue that she was a leading figure to accomplish that success. After all, Isabelle stood for all that changed with New Leaf. While we were always able to influence our town's outlook, now for the first time we could actively change how we wanted our town to look like. And as our assistant, Isabelle took care of fulfilling all of our wishes as good as she could. And I have to admit that I was skeptical of her at first. I just kinda didn't like how new everything was at first. I felt a little alienated and confused. Tom Nook used to be a leading role, and he would normally guide us through the first hour of the game. Now, it's Isabelle, a character that was completely new. In Animal Crossing Wild World and City Folk, we already had Pally and her sister Phyllis, who worked in the town hall and already kinda acted as the mayor's assistants. So, at first glance, I kinda felt like there was no need for Isabelle. But it was not long after that I realized just how important Isabelle really was, because she would not only guide us through our options and possibilities we now had as mayor of our own town, but also help us out. She became the center of the game, with every game mechanic that had anything to do with designing the town linked back to her. If Pally and Phyllis would have been used as your assistants in New Leaf, I don't see that working out looking back, because they were more associated with the post office and wouldn't have that much room left to be both. It would just be too much for them to handle. Besides, it wasn't uncommon for new Animal Crossing games to establish new characters after all. Yet they had never been so important to the game, in comparison to Isabelle, that is. On top of that, you gotta admit that her energetic and highly motivated attitude, she just gets you hyped for every task at hand. With her clumsy and cute way of talking and behaving, she just gets you excited to talk to her. And with her adorable and charming looks, she just steals hearts. Her design is a perfect mix between too cute not to be the center of attention and almost too normal. And so even though New Leaf got me a little alienated at first, I really came to love her. And I'm sure a lot of people felt that way, because after that, she was everywhere. She is the only Animal Crossing character that has so much merch, plushies, t-shirts, amiibo cards, yes, multiple ones with different outfits, amiibo figurines, yes again, multiple ones, cameos.
Excuse me, what the fuck?
Isabelle was an unstoppable force. So if you want to know who Isabelle is, then look beyond just one game. She is a beloved fighter in Smash, an adorable racer in Mario Kart, a skin in Mario Maker, a beloved plushie at the Build-A-Bear shops, your loyal assistant, but most of all, Isabelle is the face of Animal Crossing. How was Isabelle created? But how do you create a face for a franchise, especially for a franchise that already existed for over 10 years prior? Well, we already talked about the success of New Leaf, but the story wasn't complete if you leave out the pretty big failure City Folk was. You see, Animal Crossing was never a mainstream hit until Animal Crossing New Leaf. But Animal Crossing, Dobutsu no Mori, Animal Crossing Wild World, and so on were pretty decent. Everyone was happy. So of course, for the Wii, the team wanted a new Animal Crossing, but it kinda just wasn't that good. Since you could connect the game file with your Animal Crossing Wild World game and barely any new features were added, City Folk felt too much like the same game, just mixed with a little bit of the GameCube version in. So if the franchise was supposed to survive, changes were needed. And it was thanks to the new co-director of the time, her name being Aya Kyugoku, that a brilliant idea flourished. What if you would not only design your own house and just influence your town, but if you were also able to design your entire town actively as well? Well, said, done. You became the mayor. Yet you'll need help, right? A mayor needs an assistant. And so the team sat together, thinking long and hard about a concept. And before you can really start, you'll need some good inspiration. And for your assistant to be a dog, it didn't need too much of it. There are tons of reasons why the personality of a dog fits perfect for a loyal assistant that loves their job. I mean, name a more loyal animal, I dare you. That aside, I also think a dog works because they also wouldn't make the impression that they like to take over. A dog admires his owner, but he wouldn't fight for power with him, if he's treated right, that is. So a dog was a perfect fit. Besides, dogs are super lovable, but there are many dog breeds out there. And Isabelle, after all, is not just any dog breed. She is a golden Shih Tzu, which also have the nickname, by the way, small lion dogs. And looking at their long and extravagant fur, there is no explanation needed where this name comes from. These small kings are known to be a very old dog breed that originated in Tibet. Records prove that in the 7th century, Shih Tzus were kept in monasteries by monks. supposedly as guard dogs, but it is much more possible that they were nothing but companions. And there was a lot of good reasons for that. You see, it is said that Buddha himself had a dog that was able to change into a lion. Shinsu, which means lion by the way, were bred to resemble Buddha's magical companion, which is why it is very common for Dalai Lama to keep Shinsu dog companions ever since. But not only the people of Tibet fell in love with these adorable faces. From there on, about 10 centuries later in the 17th century, Shinsu dogs found their way into royalty and were kept as palace dogs by Chinese nobles and the royal family. One Chinese empress, her name is Xu Xi, and I'm so sorry to butcher her beautiful name with my pronunciation, loved the breed so much that she would change the Chinese laws. She decided that anyone who would harm or would go as far as to torture a Shih Tzu would be sentenced to death. In her later years, it is said that she even had a little palace built solely for her dogs. These dogs were trained to wave their paws whenever the empress would visit them, showing yet again the lovable nature of the Shih Tzu, and also how very smart and friendly they are. And that's how they're known up to this very day. They make for great family dogs because of their rather calm and relaxed temper. However, they require intense care, not only because of their beautiful, luscious fur, but also because they are known to be quite clingy. Is that a real downside though? I mean, I would love to have a dog that would enjoy cuddles just as much as I do. And it's not lonely me. Shih Tzus are known to be one of the most beloved breeds all over the world, from celebrities like the Queen of England, Bill Gates, and a lot more well-known people also having a little lion companion of their own. I'm pretty sure that's what the Animal Crossing design team thought as well. After all, when designing Isabelle, their main goal was to make a very affectionate character who was loyal and helpful, and I couldn't have thought of any better dog breed myself. However, I'm not quite done yet. Choosing a breed and a personality isn't the full design yet after all. Shih Tzus, for example, can have all different kinds of colors, and to settle for a color is not easy for sure. Isabelle was chosen to have golden fur with little touches of white, which pretty much does two things for her. First, it makes it easy to tell her breed. Shih Tzu are very rare in only one color and would usually have spots around the nose, the ears, tails, and or paws. Second, the colors are bright and positive, underlining Isabelle's nature and happy-go-lucky attitude, while also setting her apart from the rest of the character cast. I mean, she's not the only yellow character per se, but Isabelle is the only character whose color is this exact shade of golden yellow, as if her awesome fashion style and cute hairstyle wasn't enough to set her apart. I know, but you can never have enough of the good stuff, right? Isabelles Backstory. Isabelle shares her birthday on December 20th with her twin brother Digby. We know from the little announcement she makes whenever you start a new day and new horizons that she doesn't live with her parents, but they are still alive somewhere, which was a surprise to me because in Happy Home Designer, you could get a conversation with Digby where it was revealed that he had found memories of him and Isabelle living in a cupboard box. At the time, that led me to believe that they were orphans, yet their parents seem to be out there. It is uncertain what happened, but my educated guess would be that the parents Isabelle is referring to are not their family by blood, but maybe this couple just took her and her brother in when they were still little. However, there's no proof to back this theory though. I have no idea how those two storylines connect with each other, but as for family, there is one thing we can say with certainty. She has a brother, Digby, and not any brother, it is her twin brother. Even though the official website states that she is the older twin. Whatever that is supposed to mean, I guess you got to have a twin to understand that statement. Putting the drama aside for a moment, it's worth mentioning that Isabelle likes watching TV and and camping, as she stated in Pocket Camp and New Horizons. You could even see her camp in a trailer in Welcome Amiibo, where she can be invited as a camper if you have an Amiibo card or figurine of her. If you do, she would wear glasses, by the way, revealing that Isabelle seems to need them and might be wearing contacts for work, which also is a great reference to her breed, because it is said that Shinsu breeds do tend to get problems with her eyesight very often. Changing the subject again a little bit, in Animal Crossing New Leaf, there is a theory going around that Isabelle has a crush on the player. The theory bases on the Valentine's Day event, where she blushes and would send the player chocolate cake alongside a letter. However, I feel this is very debatable, since Isabelle is an overall pretty kinda shy person, and the letter is more about gratitude than actual romantic feelings. Although I must say, I like the idea of Isabelle having a crush on the player. And if some people want to believe in this theory, more power to them. I guess it comes down to how you, as the player, want to interpret this event. There is one thing that stands against it though. The official website states that Isabelle is confirmed to have a crush on KK. Speaking of Isabelle's shyness, Digby, her brother, might want to say something about that. You see, in Happy Home Designer, you could have the chance to get a dialogue where he would remark that Isabelle used to be quite mischievous when they were younger, always trying to eat his shoes. And Isabelle, admitting to that, even went as far as to even say that she still feels an urge to eat her brother's shoes whenever he gets a new pair. How very unexpected from a little airhead, right? Even more surprising, if you're lucky enough, Digby might even tell you that Isabelle is not that much of an airhead you might think she is. In fact, Isabelle has engineering degrees from 19 different universities. Top that! Now I'm asking myself why dumb me got to be mayor when my assistant clearly is more capable. Isabelle, what are you hiding from us? A little side note, in celebration of the cafe to open in New Horizons, Isabelle likes her mocha with lots of milk and 3 spoons of sugar. Better keep that in mind, otherwise she might eat your shoes next. Isabelle as an international figure. Isabelle was created with care and was established in a very fruitful environment. However, she is not everywhere known the way she is in the English-speaking community. Her Japanese name, for example, is Shizue, which could be a play on the Japanese word shizuka, meaning quiet or calm, shizuku, meaning drop, or simply because of the breed's name Shinsu. Some stated that it could be interpreted as quiet branch, referring to the calm life in an Animal Crossing town. But I guess at some point you just start over-analyzing stuff. Whatever the reason, Shizue does not mean anything in particular. Funnily enough, if you go on and Google Shizue in hiragana, as it is written in Animal Crossing, Google will only show you Animal Crossing related search results. In Germany, Isabelle is known as Melinda, a very noble name which has Latin origin meaning honey drink or sweets, probably referring to her golden fur and cute personality. In the Spanish versions, Isabelle is known as Canela, which is Spanish for cinnamon. It is used very commonly as a dog name in Spanish-speaking countries because, of course, cinnamon is associated with sweetness and a certain coziness in a way. The French version was even more creative, I would argue, simply calling her Marie, after the star of the sea that would guide fishermen safely, much like Isabelle guides us through the games. But it was also a play on the French word for mayor and town hall. The Chinese name of Isabelle is Xi Xi Shui, which I probably butchered again, and I'm very sorry for that. The first part, the Xi part, means to hope or to admire, while the second, the Shui part, means to give benefits. Others state, however, that it might just be a transcription of the Japanese hiragana writing. I would say it's a great name that mirrors Isabelle's very kind and hopeful nature. The Italian call her Fufi, and the Korean Yo, for which, in both cases, I have no explanation for. Fufi is a common dog name in Italy, and Yo could be a corruption of the Korean word for fox, but I don't really see the connection there. And of course, for us, the Netherlandish, Russian, and English communities, she is Isabelle, a very noble name. In fact, it's the Spanish version of Elizabeth, meaning God's oath. Pretty hardcore for an Animal Crossing character, if you ask me. So I would actually say that the pun that you can make of Isabelle, knowing that money and Animal Crossing are called bells, and her similarity to a bag of bells, were the biggest reason to call her Isabelle. The reception of Isabelle didn't change no matter the name though. She was loved all around, managing all Animal Crossing Twitter accounts, no matter the language. And why shouldn't she? She already established that she was the ultimate lovable companion for our journey. Wait, did I say was? Yeah, Isabelle's role was diminished quite a bit in New Horizons. We don't need to talk to her as much. Building projects are managed by Tom Nook. When I want to change something about my island, I can just go there and change it. She doesn't need to follow me around anymore. So what will happen with our adorable companion? I don't think we will ever again see a game without her. Her popularity has gone through the roof, and she still holds a dear place in every fan's heart. After all, while Tom Nook, Timmy and Tommy, and all the other characters are also beloved, none of them are as close to us as she is. And I can't see this bond ever break anytime soon. And I think that the design team knows that, which is exactly why with new DLC coming up, Isabelle got new tasks with which she can help us out, like enacting ordinances. But what do you think? Do you think Isabelle could ever be replaced? Do you too adore your joyful companion and maybe learned a thing or two about her? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, if you want me to cover any other character, I'd be super up for that. After all, new gaming related uploads are coming up every Wednesday on this channel with a variety of different themes. I also stream over at Twitch if you want to visit me, or join the discussion on Discord. Informations are all linked in the description. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have it good. Until next time, bye!